What's going on, everybody, and what's going on, folks? My name is David, and I'm your legendary host of this legendary podcast, the Deconstructing Topic podcast. In this podcast, we talk about a little bit of everything. We grab a topic, and we kind of deconstruct it. I'm not going to say kind of, we do in the deep way as we can to deconstruct a topic. And we talk about a little bit of everything. And today we got a good one. We got a 2-in-1 life lesson. Woo, we gonna make it happen. Let me tell you something. If 25 years ago I was doing a podcast, if there was such a thing as a 20 podcast 25 years ago, which my understanding that perhaps not, or perhaps it was only 2, but the fact is this, that if I exist and you wanted to hear my voice and wanted to get some motivation, I would have guaranteed that as you listen to this episode, or any episode, or even 25 years ago, I would not tell you, hey, listen, you got to order my CDs here because this volume or this is going to be life-changing and I'm going to help you unlock the ultimate secret of success to your life. And then when the last CD ends, I end up telling you, well, you know what? That's another way to do and to unlock the success. But you got to get volume 2 and a nice price of $9.99, the first installment. My podcast, no, it's not about that life. I appreciate people hitting that subscribe button, liking, and hey, listen, hitting the like button, whatever it is that you need to do, and everything that it is in my description. And show love and feel free to share. So I'm not about that life, but hey, listen, I'm all about helping people. And then, today, shout out to a colleague, sister in arms, and a couple of people out there in the last couple of weeks. Has been interesting to say the least, and many emotions. And I kind of remind myself that it was not too long ago. And I'm one to say that in this podcast, we're going to live, or not relive, but remind ourselves that the way we start the day, now I'm going to loosely say the word morning, because there are people that their time schedule is different, their day is different. For me, what's morning, it could be the night for somebody else, and vice versa, because, hey, listen, so to me, I'm one to say, and in my case, the way that you start the morning, the first thought, and especially if it's positive, is what's going to help transcend the rest of the day. And I'm one of those people that I say to myself, you know what? That's why I wake up early. I do my good deeds in the gym, give a shout out to the good Lord, be grateful, and remind myself that there's others that need help. There's others that need that little extra hand, and I'm more than willing to do it. But sometimes your boy D, sometimes we wake up like, what the hell is going on? I don't feel good. Certain parts of my body's hurting. I got the, ailments and all that good stuff. And I said, what is going on? And the other day I was at work, and it actually started in the gym, and I was just not feeling up to par. And, when you're not feeling up to par, then, I got a couple of things going on in my life that I want to take care of. Because, hey, listen, we moving. We on a mission. So that means that your mind hits this chatterbox. Like, how they always say that sometimes, hey, when you start talking to yourself, as one famous rapper said, hey, I talk to myself because I'm my own consultant, right? And that's what's happening to me not too long ago in the morning. I'm at work, and there's a lot of chatters. I'm just in my mind. And then I see there's other chatters of other people. And for some reason, I thought that I overheard somebody that might have need help from my department or where I work at. And I'm like, did I hear that correctly? Maybe I'm bugging out. I just don't know. And I'm like, asking a couple of questions here because I was having that type of morning. Because, when we kind of wake up and we're not feeling good physically neither, sometimes we just not, under the weather. And then it seems that your immune system is taking a shot, but sometimes it could be spiritually, mentally, whatever it is, that you just become sensitive, like your radar, like of everything. Like, what did you say? You was talking to me? No, I'm on the phone. Oh, I thought, I'm sorry. One of those moments. So I reached out to a colleague in arms, and I kind of was like wondering, do you need my help or something like that? That, I'm just curious here, because I could have sworn. But interesting how that little moment of randomness of of life being life, where that moment it's two people, two individuals, and then, I'm reach out to to the individual, and then, to the colleague in arms, and we having a conversation, or at least, kind of like, hey, listen. And one thing that we agree on that, little exchange is that sometimes, we're going to have those rough mornings where everything seems like, okay, you're trying to do so much, we get limited to physically, mentally, whatever it is that's going on. And then I start to think like, wow, because I'm one to say, hey, listen, how you start the day. If you start the day in some awesome, positive, whatever, not just positive, but just wanting to do something, wanting to just be out there. That's telling a lot to the day. Then that's telling a lot to the people that you come across throughout the day. And in this individual, in this case, we having a conversation, and we kind of, you know, was in the same page in regards to that belief. But then I start to realize, and I've, made a comment, and, the individual agreed. And it's like, you know what? As much as we, and even myself, we humans, sometimes we tend to not, how can I say it to you? You don't know what life you're changing, or you helping, or you're saving. And sometimes I found myself in that situation that I might be having a bad day, but just because you reach out to me, hey, I got, who knows if I'm just having so much issues. And this random person happy, whatever it is, hey, how we doing today? That right there, that little gesture could change somebody's life. And I started to think, wow, this kind of reminds me to this other lesson in life. Once again, we are here. I think I'm gonna do more than 2 lessons in this one, where we want to kind of start doing something positive, even something as simple as being grateful to the things that we have that's around us. Even if we're going through a little hardship or whatever, sometimes just the fact that you're waking up and breathing, you'd be like, wow, that's a gift in itself. And that's actually an opportunity for one to do something about it. I'm breathing, what am I going to do? So it kind of reminded me of this thing that happened to me at the age of 11 and 12. That even at a young age, and even as we get, let's say, more experience in life, as we get older, is that sometimes we get caught up in these moments that we know that perhaps we are front of a life-changing moment or a life-saving. And at age of 11 and 12, I started to kind of remind me, or at least my memory, of one time I remember I was with my older brother, and it looks like a friend of family, they apparently, how can I say, had no kids. So they kind of like, these elder folks needed help with the cutting grass and all that good stuff. So, the friends of the family, they reach out to my mother, hey, listen, if it's summertime, if they could help, whatever. I'm like, hey, I'm down. Talking about a long time ago, you know. What is, $30 for someone who's like 11, 12 back in the early 90s? Maybe 40? I'm trying to remember. But the fact is, this interesting moment. I'm with my older brother. So this couple picks us up, we in this pickup truck, if you will. And then as we driving, and keep in mind, I was living in the Bronx. I was raised in the Bronx. And I'm, at that time, I'm in the Bronx. And hey, listen, I love the Bronx. But wow, I was living in some of the ghettos of all ghetto Bronx places. So for this individual to take us to another side where there was these beautiful trees, and I always remember this like if it was yesterday. I'm somewhere, and just to kind of spoil it, we was in another side of the Bronx that was nice. The Bronx got some good nice neighborhood. So people out there that the Bronx is ghetto, whatever. Hey, listen, I mean, everything is ghetto. The Bronx got some nice neighborhood, hardworking people. Let's get it. As I'm over here in this parking lot, right there in the parking lot, there's a Burger King. And there was a convenience store that later becomes 7-Eleven. For those people that know 7-Eleven, you know how that goes. And I'm over here looking at this, and then again, to spoil it, I was in another beautiful part of the Bronx. And to me, everything was new, and I would just, wow, I'm actually in the Bronx. This is beautiful. This is where I love to be at. It seems a little bit, there's houses, there's buildings, I see the trains, the train station. I just see something different and I'm feeling it. And I'm in this parking lot looking at the highway, that there's some woods there. And I'm just feeling like there's a sense of something happening. But I'm young. I don't know how to explain it. I just know that something as if life, the universe, God, all the good stuff, we're going to compile everything. As if somebody was kind of telling you, David, do you see this area right here? Not only is it going to mean something to you, but it's going to save your life. Ladies and gentlemen, and those people in between, a couple of years later, it turned out to be that my high school would have been right across from the woods and the trees and the highway that I was looking at. And basically, I was foreseeing my life because the high school that I attended, and it came in during a time where my family we had a hardship. We was living in the system. My mom's, who I love to death, single mother, doing everything by herself. You got young kids in high school and everything, and it's like you got to do a lot. So imagine that, because my high school, the people that was there, the teachers, they helped me shape my life. So in this little episode of Deconstructing Topic Podcast, beautiful episode, legendary, is that sometimes we may not know consciously or subconsciously when we are saving our life or saving other persons, but ultimately saving your life. And sometimes those things can happen on a daily basis. That's why they say take it day by day. But sometimes that could happen in a moment, and it might take time to manifest, and it might take time to develop. And in this case, that's exactly what happened. Those reminders of what happened to me not long ago at work, having a little, rough day, to coming across colleagues in arms, where we kind of sharing, this small little talk of, philosophy and age. We know how sometimes how rough life can be, especially in the morning. And, we sense that, we know that. But sometimes it could be something before that happened to us, something presently, and perhaps something in the future where we just gonna bask there and look at something and we just gonna sense something that we don't know. And it could be anything that's gonna trigger this emotion that's gonna say, wow, I feel like there's a connection. And that day, when I was 11, 12 years old in a parking lot, you just felt this connection like, what in the world is going on? I felt it. I always talk about that story because that happened to me long ago, and it still makes an impact in my life because it shaped the way and it got me to where I'm at this point. What am I going to do with that power? Ooh, I got a podcast. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to many people. I'm networking because what's in my hands now, the power that I have, is to help people. And at the end, and in turn, it also helps me. So that's what's going on the Deconstructing Topic Podcast. Hit me up if you feel like you want to reach out, tell a story or two where you felt that and you just couldn't kind of pinpoint what it is, but then it turned out to be something legendary. Let me know. Hit me up. Feel free. My emails is all that. My socials, the Instagram, the X, all that good stuff. Make it happen. I'm here for you. Grab people. And if you feel that way, if you heard stories like that, grab people. Feel free to just share and listen. And you're helping me as always. Because it is your boy, Deconstructing Topic Podcast. I'm all over the podcast world and in YouTube if you're listening to this. But together we got to make it happen. All right? I'm out of here. Peace. Take care.